Welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh at Sanders Street Rods. This is shop update number 10. We've got some new projects in the shop, making some progress on some big jobs, so let's get into it. So this is Andy's 89 Fox Body Mustang. It came into this shop, at least, just like this. It was painted, engine was installed, turbo, a lot of the assembly had been done. The backstory on this is I actually painted this car myself 8-9 years ago at my parents' house, which was my paint booth that I built there. I did a lot of this stuff, all the body work and paint work myself. I helped Andy put the K-member in it and kind of some of the initial things that he did to get this project rolling. And then he has taken it from there and had a couple other people do some wiring, engine work, the turbo kit, and all that kind of stuff. It's powered by, I think he said it's a 363 stroker, 75 millimeter turbo, T56 6-speed transmission. It has got to be one of the wildest 89 Fox Body Mustangs out there. And the fact that he was doing this car, started it say 10 years ago, was kind of ahead of its time, because now we have the roadster shops building chassis for these cars. We've sold a bunch of our coil covers to guys putting Coyotes in these cars. It's really turning into a popular thing, so it's kind of cool. But I remember spending a lot of time and a lot of energy, weekends, nights, trying to block this thing out to be really straight, and it's pretty cool to see it all these years later. A black car looking this good, and it's already 8 or 9 years old. So I don't have a whole lot else to say about it, but it's a lot of fun to look at. Andy has gone through great lengths to polish and have us paint all these different components. This thing is an absolute showpiece. It's pretty incredible to see where it's come from behind my parents' house. But it's kind of funny, one of those things where I told Andy that I would put this car, put the sheet metal, hood and everything back on when he was ready. And here we are. It's been many years, and that's how some of these projects go, but I'm holding up to my word, so we're gonna put it back together and send it on its way. We had to do some modifications just recently. First thing we did is Brian did some modifications to the hood to clear this intake, I guess is a different intake than what was on it, and then as well as this intake tube. So you can actually see the little oil slicks on here still from where we had clay on there. And what we do is we stack a piece of clay up on those contact points, do some modifications, templates, etc., put the hood back on, close it, and then we can, as it squishes down, we can check how much clearance is there and go off of that. Because a lot of times, you know, we have it on the lift so we can run the car up in the air and go underneath and look with a flashlight, but you can't always see everywhere, so that's a great gauge, a good tool to use. I look forward to kind of showing this off a little bit more as we get it put together. I told Andy too I'd love to have this in our booth, even though a lot of this work is in ours. It's just a great car and a good representation of what we do on the paint side. This is a 38 Ford. It's basically my neighbor's dad. He got hit in the back. So my neighbor called and was like, hey, I know you guys probably super busy, whatever. So he was like, I don't care. I have another car to drive all summer. So when you guys can get to it. So it worked out good. Kind of just sat there on call, and we got a little bit of downtime on the paint side, more or less, so we can bring it in. So we repaired this fender. I tried to find a replacement fender because this thing was pretty mangled. Can't find anything. There's a difference between a deluxe and a standard in this year. It's kind of a weird year. So Connor ended up just repairing this fender. So we got some blends to come and fix. And it's an old build, you know, it's not super nice paint job, and you know, we kind of know that. So we just need to fix it and get it back to the way it was. So that's going good though. Nice, just a nice local customer. Happy to do it. We've also got, this is our big project, the 36 Ford Roadster. We're doing like a build series on it, but we'll kind of toss in a little bit of an update on this and then do a full update in a future video. We've got the Art Morrison chassis set up in the jig table, so it's sitting here, it's level, square, true to itself, so we have points to measure off of as we set the body down. Right now what's happening is the body is back from sandblast, so it's kind of a process of going on and off the frame. This frame is not made as a bolt-on for this body, so we need to set the height of the body, position of it on the frame, and then build all the body mounts. It's a pretty tedious process, but it allows us to control everything basically. So the ride of it, how much it's channeled over the frame, etc., engine position and all that. It's a ton of work to do this. In addition to that, we've unfortunately discovered a lot of rust in this car. So I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where yes, there was a lot of rust, but because of this chassis modification, because of the bigger transmission and the bigger engine, new firewall and all that stuff, a lot of this had to be removed anyways. So I don't know, trying to look at it optimistically here, but we have a lot of work to do. You can see all this bracing throughout the body. We're trying to just hold this thing together as best we can. Ultimately, before anything gets really locked down, we're gonna rely on the fit of the doors and the fenders and everything because there's basically nothing holding this cowl to these quarter panels now. So we really need to be aware of how all those pieces are fitting as it goes back together, because you could weld yourself into a corner really quick if you start putting a floor in here while it's sagging a little bit, etc. So it's kind of a balancing act, and me, Matt, and Brian have kind of been trying to work through this piece by piece, because it's tough, when you have to replace a piece that is overlapped by 3 other pieces, and you have to put this one in first, and there's a little wood in here, so you can't repair this, and so on. So it's a challenge, but it's it is all stuff we've done before. We just have to think our way through it, and so we can't just jump in and get ourselves in trouble. Well, we'll show it in the full build update or the full build series video, but we got a really cool LS3 engine for it with a bunch of, you'll see. I was talking about the hood modification for the Mustang. This is that modification that Brian did. So originally there was braces that kind of went through here, and that was interfering with that intake. So Brian fabricated this piece, which is lower profile. We got our dampening material to make the hood a little bit more solid. It's all welded in place, as well as the intake clearance spot. So this is what was making contact with that clay as we would open and close the hood and check for clearance. That's a pretty cool cowl induction hood for this car. It looks good on there. The last couple of weeks the Charger has been at the upholstery shop, but we have been all hands on deck still, getting it ready to be unveiled at SEMA and the HRIA booth in November, first week in November. So we'll be there with the car. It's our first car to ever unveil. It'll be covered up Tuesday morning, 10:30, pull the cover, and it'll be pretty fun. So we've been working on that car for a long time. There'll be a bunch of videos to follow after that car's unveiled. These are just some small parts, aluminum inner fenders and stuff for that car that are going into paint. We've got the wheels in here right now. We just painted the barrels gloss black, and then we're gonna be painting the centers, one of the accent colors on the car. But this is right out of the gun, so honestly it's kind of cool to see how smooth and clean that can turn out. These wheels were powder coated, but the powder coating next to the glossy paint, it always looks a little bit more dull in my opinion. So we just reshot them as a part of the painting process that we needed to do anyways. So Connor did a nice job on those. And then we've got Dave's 66 Corvette. So if you don't know this car, it's an Art Morrison chassis, full independent front and rear, Lingenfelter stack injected LS3, lots of cool drivability, nice solid upgrades there, and then a bunch of custom little stuff. Dave's super detailed, so there's a lot to see on this car. Recently we've gotten the exhaust all the way out to the back. We don't quite have the tips yet. We've been playing around with different ideas on how this exhaust is going to exit, kind of using some of the shapes off of the bumper. Dave likes the center exit, but he also wants a dual, so we're working through that. That will probably be a machined part out of stainless maybe, or something we can attach to the stainless exhaust. And then these are actually, we just taped over this and bomb canned it so he can kind of trick the eye to think they're not there. Those will get filled in. This is where the original exhaust came out. Third tail light that we added. Apparently that was a dealer option back in the day, so some cars have that, and Dave liked it. Inside the car, the whole rear floor is new. That's all in now, and after all that got bonded and glassed in, we started to build these boxes where we're gonna mount all the wiring components. I saw Kyle Kuhnhausen on Instagram had done something kind of similar to this and putting all the components behind the seat, and I thought it was a great idea. In some ways, kind of an obvious spot to do it, because the seat folds back, it covers them, and there's a lot of space on top of the rear suspension cradle that you can house all this stuff. So those boxes will get sealed off to the interior basically, and there'll be little doors that you can access them. So we have the fuse panel for the whole body harness, and then we've got the Holley ECU and the fused relay blocks and everything for the engine management stuff. I'm super happy with how that's turning out. It's a very functional upgrade that's also gonna just look good. If this was my car, that would be like something I'm super excited about for some reason. So that's turning out good. That whole rear floor, everything came together really nice. Matt also built these wire channels. I think we're just going to do one on the passenger side, but just pre-planning for some of the wire routing. We needed a little extra space now that we have full ECU and everything that's mounted behind the seat to get up front. So that'll give us a good access under the carpet. On the underside, we got driveline is coming back from being built. So we've got a driveline hoop to figure out. We got all the parking brake stuff done. Brian built this really cool lever that goes on top of the rear suspension cradle. It allows us to reuse the stock parking brake handle. It just kind of made sense in this situation. We got a lot of plans for the console. I really like a handbrake, but there's just not going to be room for it. And it's an automatic car, so it's not that big of a deal. That'll work out well there. It's always a trick getting those set up on the right ratios, just like with the brakes and everything. All that kind of stuff is important to stay ahead of it. You're never going to spot it, but there is a new product on this car that's coming out next year. We'll probably talk about it on the Charger a little bit. If you haven't seen this yet, this is the Lingenfelter stack injected LS3. We've got the valve covers that came off of the original engine to this car with some adapters that put it on this engine, which I think is really cool look for this car. These really trick billet hinges that have the hood come up and over versus it swinging down in the front, which gives us a little bit more room for cooling and everything, which is working out great actually, because we're going to stack a transmission cooler on the front of that, and there's potential that would have been an issue with the stock hood hinges. It also gives us the shocks, which work really awesome. It's coming together nice. So this exhaust is dual exhaust all the way out the back, but we did do cutouts and are going to do side pipes. So you can see how this pipe actually wides off of the header and comes and zips over here, and then here's the valve. So not sure if we're going to do inner fenders or leave that exposed yet, but it's a really trick piece on how that's coming together. We got to put a battery inside of here too. On a couple of the other Corvettes that we've done, I've built like full inner fenders for them, and like the Charger got that treatment too. That covers up a lot of plumbing and whatever, the battery, stuff like that gets in there. So we need to figure out if we're gonna go that far with this or not. And then back in the CNC area, Derek actually just finished up a job that got shipped out, but this is where we machine all of our parts, our line clamps, our Coyote parts, and the stuff that's coming up, the coil covers, the Hellcat parts, all that kind of stuff. So all of it is machined here by Derek in this machine in the back corner of the shop. So in the new shop, it'll be a little bit of a better space, but we also have a 3D printer where we prototype a lot of the custom parts that we do. So that's a really great tool to inexpensively produce that. And then a lathe and just some other little equipment. So this is where it all happens. So one of these little freaking bugs. These things are everywhere. Go. No, don't do this. It's so dumb.